They keep score. You hear about it here. Sports Sunday on 680 CJOB.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this year's annual Las Vegas International Dodgeball Open, brought to you exclusively here on ESPN 8, the Ocho.
Couldn't resist. Sorry.
I got nothing to say to that.
When you think of dodgeball, you likely think of one of two things: gym class or that wonderfully dumb movie from 2004. But yesterday in Winnipeg, the second annual Riel Cup was held as the sport is very much growing in popularity. Matt Klachewski is the president of Dodgeball Manitoba, joins us now. Matt, tell us about what happened yesterday.
It was the Riel Cup. It was the provincial championship tournament. So we had 13 men's teams and 7 women's teams competing. The men's teams competed in, I guess, the first 3 quarters of the day, and then the women's team competed in the evening. The men's teams was won by the team called the Monstars, and the women's team was won by Strike 1919.
Is dodgeball now at the highest peak it's ever been?
I would say in Manitoba it definitely is. We've got about, I'd say, over 1,000 players playing weekly. We are focused on the competitive aspects, so that's what the Riel Cup is. It's the second year of its existence, and it's getting more and more popular every day, and we're just hoping to expand next year and the year after that. But yeah, there's a lot of really great dodgeballers in Manitoba and in Canada, and Canada is recognized as one of the strongest dodgeball countries in the world.
Will the players from this tournament be representing Manitoba at the Nationals? Is that how this works?
Yeah, we have a selection committee that came and observed all the matches. So it served as a tryout. That selection committee is going to assemble teams for the national competition. We are sending 3 men's teams and 2 women's teams. And we're not sending them anywhere because it's going to be in Winnipeg this year, at the Duckworth Center in April.
How many years has this national tournament been run?
This will be the 3rd national tournament. Last year was in Halifax. The year before was in Toronto.
Okay. And how do we do with those?
Manitoba, we were strong. Ontario is and Nova Scotia are really the top dogs right now. And I don't want to say we didn't have a strong showing last year, but I think we finished middle of the pack. But we're getting better every year. The competitive aspect of the sport is pretty new to us. I'd say we've only Manitoba's been kind of involved in the competitive scene for about 3 years now, where in Ontario they've been doing it for 10 or so. So we're still doing a bit of catch-up, but we're making big leaps and strides every year. What
type of person plays dodgeball? Does someone become a dodgeball specialist, or are these athletes from other sports giving it a try?
I think there's a lot of people that do just become dodgeball specialists. We often get athletes from other sports come in, and we often find that they are really good at one thing, like they might be really good throwers, but they may not be very good dodgers. They might be really good dodgers, but they might not be very good throwers. You really need a well-rounded athlete who specializes in dodgeball to be very good at dodgeball. We have people in Manitoba and across Canada who that is their sport, and they train for it every day. They practice weekly. It's their number one thing. It's usually not a side project for most of our top athletes.
So what are the traits that make a good dodgeballer?
A lot of people might think that it's just throwing and catching, but you really need to be in tune with your team. And there's a lot of strategic aspects that newcomers to the sport don't really think about. So as long as you're well-rounded, if you have all the skills, if you can dodge decent, throw decent, then from there you really just go on to try to think of different strategies that might work for your team. So if you're throwing, you're getting someone else to cover for you. You're always keeping track of how many balls you have, making sure that you always have more balls than the other team, because that is one of the biggest strategical moves you can make, is to make sure you're controlling as many balls as you can. There's a whole depth of strategies that's, I think the exciting part about dodgeball is that those strategies haven't really been figured out yet, because you watch a baseball game and you know what every team's going to do before they do it. But dodgeball, one team could be playing a completely different game than another team, and it's really interesting to see those two styles come together.
How many players are on the court, I guess, to start a match, and then take me through the basic start to finish of a dodgeball match?
Yeah, so you start with 6 players, and then they start the opening rush, where they run to get 3 balls on one side of the court. There's 6 balls in total, so each team is to get their 3 balls. And then it's just a matter of trying to stay alive and try to take out the other team. And once the other team is eliminated, then the team that eliminated gets a point. And usually the games are timed. So last night we were doing 20-minute playoff games. So whoever points wins the game.
What initially appealed to you about joining the dodgeball scene?
I just when I played dodgeball as a kid, it was the most fun thing you could do in gym class. Everyone would always get really excited when we were playing dodgeball that day. And then when school ends, you're kind of like, oh, well, that's the end of dodgeball. But there's no reason why something that brought you so much joy and fun can't be developed and turned into a quote unquote real sport. So that's what I found interesting to me. I find that it attracts a lot of interesting personalities. I find it very interesting how sports begin and how they emerge. Still in its infancy, but we're trying to develop it into being as big as basketball, soccer, everything like that. The World Championships were in Toronto this fall, and we held an event at a bar in Winnipeg at the Goodwill Social Club where we gathered people around the community to watch dodgeball on the big screen. It was great. It's a very exciting sport to watch. It's an exciting sport to play. And I don't see why it wouldn't be broadcast on major networks in the future.
That's Matt Cjob, the president of Dodgeball Manitoba. The National Dodgeball Championships will be right here in Winnipeg the weekend of April 13th. Austin, when was the last time you played dodgeball?
Actually, not that long ago. I was only in high school 3 years ago.
10 seconds ago. It definitely was.
So in high school.
So it was high school. Yeah, I don't think I played in university at all. When we were in high school, towards the end of it, they started an intramural tournament.
Okay.
And I've never seen that much intensity or crowd. We never had our gyms filled with any crowds for any of our actual sporting events, like basketball or volleyball. But when we had the dodgeball tournament at lunch, the stands were packed and people were chanting, and it was crazy.
Yeah, I remember scenes exactly like that in my high school. I don't know what it is, but dodgeball really gets people going.
So I think Matt has a point then. Why can't we make that a thing in an actual sport as opposed to just beyond gym class?
I don't know. I would love to see something like that at the Olympics, though. Could you imagine?
Ooh, they got handball.
Exactly.
Why not dodgeball?
So now just throw the ball at them instead of in the net. There you go.
That could work. Now I kind of want to go play, although I'd probably blow up my arm.
Yeah, exactly.